The Holcim Foundation Awards is proud to partner with The Urbanist on Monocle Radio. The Holcim Foundation Awards is the world's premier competition for sustainable design, highlighting projects that contribute to the transformation of the building sector. Awarding $1 million in prizes, it honours excellence in sustainable design and construction. By showcasing innovative, soon-to-be-realised projects, the awards drive change and inspire a new generation to adopt responsible design practices. Entry for the next awards competition is open now. Find out more, get involved and submit your free entry. Go to holcimfoundation.org/awards. The Holcim Foundation Awards, proud partner of The Urbanist on Monocle Radio.
Modern streetcars have a checkered reputation in North American cities. They're often seen as economic development projects disguised as public transport and cost a hefty amount that critics argue could deliver more bus services for the same price. But one recent streetcar revival in El Paso, Texas, has struck a deeper chord. You're listening to Tall Stories, a Monocle production brought to you by the team behind The Urbanist. I'm Andrew Tuck. In this episode, Gregory Scruggs hops aboard a passing car in El Paso to find out more.
A little over a decade ago, posters started popping up around the desert city of El Paso in West Texas. They advertised the pending return of the city's streetcar, which was abandoned in 1974. "Sube al futuro," they declared in Spanish. "The future is arriving on time, on the border, again," they said in English. For nearly a century, trams crisscrossed the Rio Grande, the river that defines much of the U.S.-Mexico border, carrying passengers back and forth between El Paso and neighboring Ciudad Juarez in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. These two cities have a unique and symbiotic relationship. Historically, they have operated more like one city than two. Their respective downtowns are just a short walk away from each other over an international bridge. Above all, the streetcar stitched them together. El Pasoans and Juarenses moved back and forth freely, with families living on both sides. But as U.S. cities divested from public transport after World War II, the El Paso streetcar was another casualty. Still, its legacy loomed large in the El Paso imagination, especially as a symbol of free movement across the border, something that has become far more difficult in the decades since. Hence the posters, which were entirely fictitious. El Paso native Peter Svarsbein created them as an art school graduate thesis and installed them, guerrilla-style, on the walls of his hometown. While the El Paso Transnational Trolley Project was a work of speculative art, it struck a chord in the local imagination. In part inspired by the ads plastered around the city, El Paso officials dusted off dormant plans for reviving the streetcar and successfully lobbied the Texas state government for $97 million. Funding in hand, the city laid new track, purchased 6 of the original El Paso streetcars from a storage lot in the California desert, refurbished them with modern amenities like Wi-Fi and air conditioning, and send them on their maiden voyage on November 9, 2019. While the current 8-kilometer loop is a far cry from the 100-kilometer network during the streetcar's heyday, they are still a nod to the city's past. Each of the 6 cars is painted in fetching historic color schemes, and while the modern iteration does not travel over the border, decals of both the Mexican and U.S. flags decorate the exterior. There is no charge to ride, and on my recent trip, I found a healthy dose of locals making their way around the city. The streetcar may be attractive to tourists, but by no means is it a mere tourist attraction. Although the U.S.-Mexico border has become a contentious political issue and featured prominently in the recent U.S. presidential election, national-level discussions about border security often elide the lived reality of fronterizos, the residents of borderland communities. Ride the El Paso streetcar, however, and allow your imagination to transport you figuratively, if not yet literally, to a simpler time when a border united, rather than divided, A Pair of Cities.
Tall Stories is a Monocle production from the team behind The Urbanist. This episode was written by Gregory Scruggs and produced and edited by David Stevens. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive new episodes every week. I'm Andrew Tuck. Goodbye, and thank you for listening, City Lovers.